This may be one of the trickiest videos I'll ever have had the chance to make, the opportunity to make. Let's just get started. I got an email from someone named and the email is very long and basically gives a synopsis of life to date, which has been a very difficult one from the beginning. Not as difficult as orphans in Calcutta, but in a relative sense, living in the first world, a difficult one. Parents that hardly give a damn. Siblings that are struggling as well, although it seems like his relationship with siblings are good, and deprived of opportunities. I mean, some really unfortunate things, like the mom taking him out of school, taking the kids out of school, and then to homeschool them, and then dropping the ball on the homeschooling. So they're leaving. I think he said he was 20. That's important. I need to double check that. Let me scroll up on my computer here. I'm sorry, fellow friends. I need to verify that. Yeah, 20 years old. And because that's really important. I'll get to that in just a second. Put my computer down so I can handle things better. So, and he's basically asking my advice. What to do. What to do at this point in life, having been neglected, abused, forgotten, and for the most part, put to the side. And I have something that I'd like to share with you. And the first thing I want to say is, you just became an adult. If you were here in Japan, you would be an adult this year. But you just became an adult. So what has happened to you to date, if everything you said there is what's going on, it sounds to me like you're blameless. And that's really gonna be something I want you to keep in mind, okay, on a going forward basis. So let me talk to you about my advice about what to do in this situation, and anyone else in a similar situation, or basically any time in life. I don't mean to laugh to be silly, but I mean I think it does apply to just about anybody. Picture yourself in this situation. Imagine yourself as a castaway, a shipwreck, or an airplane crash, and you're on a desolate island with limited resources. You're 20 years old. The ship has crashed. You're alone on the beach, and you have scant resources available to you, and you have to survive. Now, you can either gather your wits at this point and begin to assess your situation and the conditions and the resources that you have available to you, and begin to build shelter, seek out food, fresh way to manage fresh water, waste management to your own human waste, and then a way to entertain yourself, keep yourself going, and then hopefully a way to improve your situation. That's what you really need to do at this point. And what you have to think about is this is like a life situation. Instead of actually being on an island, you are a castaway or a castaway might be too strong a word. You're a shipwrecked. You were basically shipwrecked in life. You're at 20 years old. You have the same. It's basically the same thing. You're young. You have been deprived of resources, deprived of connections and friends and family that many others would hope to have at this point on a going forward basis. You don't have those. You basically have to do it alone. And I want to suggest to you that you look at it that way, and begin right now, today, assembling your wits towards that end. One of the most dangerous things you can do. Time is ticking. It's really, that's coming to the 20-year-old part in just a second. Time is of the essence for this. One of the most dangerous things you can do at this point is to begin to dwell on the wreckage of your life. Just like the castaway, if he sat there and if he was a shipwreck and if he saw the wreckage of the ship and just sat on the beach and thought, if only the ship hadn't crashed, wrecked, if only the captain had steered the ship better, if only this or only that, then we'd be in Hawaii by now, or wherever the case may be. You can do the same thing with your life, and then I'm actually a little worried that you're actually doing that. Like, reading the message that you sent me, I really did gain the impression that you are sitting on the beach, focusing on the wreckage that's around you, and I hope that I'm wrong. The great news in all of this, and if anybody else sees this and is older, don't despair. But because it just makes it it's a little harder, but it's not impossible. The great news is your age. At 20 years old, despite the limitations that have been imposed upon you by the way you were raised, you are at the height of your resilience, your ability to take charge of your own life, to be active as an adult, and to basically forge a life of your own making from the resources that you have. And that's what I want you to do. I want you to stop dwelling on what's happened to you. It's good to remember it, though. That'll come in useful later. That'll come to that as well. What's happened to you may actually prove to be a blessing in disguise later on, but not now. What you need to do is I'll give you some definite tips about what I think you should be doing right off the bat. You're 20 years old. The very first, and you're living at home, and you're still at home, and your parents and things are bad. You've got to get out, and you've got to get on your own. It's a poisonous environment that you're in, based on what you described there, with things that are going on with your dad, with the fighting and the violence. Yeah, no, it wasn't a lot, but the threat of violence. The things that are going on with your mom, which she seems to be incapable of keeping her head straight about what her responsibilities are as a mother, or even as a citizen in some ways. And I hope you don't mean to criticize your mom in that way necessarily, but I think she's deserved it based on what you've told me, as has your father. You, my friend, are basically blameless based on what I saw you, because like I said, you just came out of being a kid. Even if you made some mistakes, you were a kid, and you were under the guidance of adults during that time. But now you're an adult. Now it's time for you to forget about that stuff, to get yourself out of the house. And what that means is, first thing is, you now need to get a job if you don't have one already. Maybe you need to get 2 jobs. And you need to open a bank account if you don't have one already. And you need to work really hard and squirrel your money away enough to have a down payment, the deposit on a place, and get stable, set stable in your job. Come up with a budget. If you don't know how to do budgeting, go online, get some resources, try to find some people who can help you to do that. And then get enough money saved up, and the quick as you possibly can, get yourself a studio apartment. And I really, even maybe if you want to, maybe become a roommate, get a room in a house with others. That might be a good thing to do. If you live in a college town, I would really recommend getting a room in a house with others who are students your age, because I think that's a great environment for you to be in. That's where I want you to head down. That's what I'm hoping to get you into, is get you towards school. Get out on your own and break away from all of that, and don't let it pull you back in. Don't let the siren call of what happened to you to draw you back. If you're not familiar with the sirens, that are basically the forces that can draw you away into danger. So once you're out on your own, go for a year. Once you're on your own, go for a solid year of work, home, get yourself some furniture. Get things stable. Don't worry about dating at this point yet necessarily. In fact, I would really recommend that you go some time without dating. I think that this is the time that you need to get things stabilized. Get used to being your own man, taking care of yourself, having your own place, and being responsible for the money and all that stuff. Probably one of the last things you want to do is get hooked up, because I want you to go to school. I don't want you to see you get married and become a father too soon yet, because you need some time to become yourself. You need to recover from it. It's like gathering up all the resources around you, the wreckage, and creating a new life out of it. The first step is to have that year on your own. And then from there, I want to see you, if I would love to see you have a goal of getting into junior college. Get into junior college, and I recommend starting with community college. Even some people say that go to university first. Just get into junior college; they're affordable. Get yourself started on your undergraduate, on your general studies, and then start down the path of college and go along that way. And then from there, slowly build yourself a life out of what happened. Now, one of the things that you're going to need to work on is you confess to me that you're undereducated, and man, I am impressed. I am deeply, deeply impressed that at your age, despite all the other things, the bad things that happened to you, that you could spot that your education is one of the things that's lacking. I think that's a sign of great intelligence, and And I think there's a lot of potential for you if you decide to go down the path of getting educated. Your writing is not bad at all. Your writing is good. I'm impressed. But what I would recommend that you do from this point forward, if you're willing to take my advice, you wrote to me asking my advice, you basically become self-educated to a degree. In spite of going to school, it's time to become a reader. Try to avoid, you've probably watched too much TV already. I mean, you've probably, not already, but that's probably the environment, I'm guessing, based on everything else you said, that it's kind of a TV environment. I would love to see you wean yourself from that. And maybe when you get your new place, maybe if you want a TV, you can have it, but try to limit the amount that you watch it. Start reading. If you want some suggestions for books, I'd be happy to give you suggestions for books. You tell me the kind of things you like. I'll be happy to if I know of anything along those lines. But I have my own ideas about the things that might interest you. And for the most part, let me know. I'd be happy to. Tastes vary, but let me know, and I'd be happy to give you some ideas. But if you can begin reading, that's the way to start educating yourself. And then when you write, be very careful about it's really important to try your best to be writing. Now, you wrote me this email, and you said you actually knew that you were doing a lot of mistakes in there, and you kind of told me that you were hasty and that you didn't have time to check it over for errors. I really recommend that you try to check your writing over for errors, because the impression that you give through your writing to those who don't know you, they speaks volume. People make a lot of assumptions about you based on your writing, and a lot of young people these days are careless in their writing, and that has a very negative impact, especially on those who may be candidates for as employers in the future. And you never know who that's going to be, especially as you start growing and networking. The impression that you make on people who you may not even think of as an employer now may turn out to be someone who might recommend you for a job 5 or 10 years down the line. But if they remember you as someone who is careless in your writing and in your spelling, they may be less apt to do so. So take some care for that. If you don't understand a word, look it up. When I was your age, I carried a dictionary with me everywhere. And whenever I read a book, when I was reading a book and I ran across a word, I looked the darn thing up. I do it on my iPhone now still. Don't let the chance to educate yourself pass up. Now, one of the dangers that's going to happen in all of this is you're going to feel lonely. You're going to get out there, and you're used to being around several siblings and your mom and your dad, and even though it was dysfunctional, it's still home. I can't tell you how to make that more comfortable any other way than to simply bear it. Just if you do it long enough, it'll get easier. Some people can't tolerate loneliness. I don't know if you're going to be that type of person, but you can eventually have companionship. You can have friends right away. You can have that kind of stuff, and eventually I hope to see you get, find a gal, and maybe if you want to, get married and have kids. It doesn't mean you can't have all this stuff, but you have to train yourself to be able to survive without it. It's like being on that island. One of the things, loneliness must be an awful thing for those who are stranded on an island, and it can kill them if they're not able to handle it. And I'm saying it's kind of like being on the island. You're gonna suffer in some ways. When you get out in your apartment, there's gonna be nights that you're gonna be lonely. There's gonna be nights that you're gonna be tempted to feel sorry for yourself, and you have a right to feel sorry for yourself. But don't dwell on it, and don't let it become the focus of your energies. And let me come now to what I'm thinking about, how what's happened to you may be a boon in later years. I can tell you this, a boon, being a good thing in the later years, I can tell you this. The best things that have happened to me in my life in the long run, were the difficult things that happened to me, because they gave me the resources and understanding I've got a friend. Konnichiwa, konnichiwa. They basically gave the failures, the mistakes, the tragedies, the shortcomings that have happened to me in my life are the types of things that allow me to talk to someone like you at my age now and have some understanding about what you're talking about, and be able to give you advice that may help you steer clear of similar types of mistakes. If you can get through this, if you can push on through your life, and when you eventually get to be my age, and you've got control of your life, you become a man of your own, and you become someone who has survived this, and you encounter others who are going through it, you're going to have what's not just a sympathy. There she is. Konnichiwa. Oh, she wants to. You're going to have not just a sympathy, but empathy, and it's important to make a distinction between the two. If you're not familiar, sympathy is basically kind of feeling for it, and understanding, oh, I feel sorry, like that woman seems a little, confused and lost, right? She's walking around, just kind of, she sat down next to me and kind of giggled for a little bit, and I tried to say hello, and maybe the camera intimidated her, but I have some sympathy for it. I'm like, maybe she's kind of lonely, she's looking for something in the trees, I don't know. I don't have empathy for her, because I've never been in that kind of situation. I don't know what's actually going on. I don't understand it. So it's a distinction between the two. I can't really feel it. Therefore, I can't really talk to her about it the way that someone who had gone through that might. On the other hand, if I meet someone who is going through a business failure, for example, who tells me that his life's savings or his or her life savings that they invested in a business and worked 5-10 years to try to develop it is about to evaporate away, and their fortune, their savings, everything is about to go down the tube. Woo-hoo! You're talking to the right guy. I know all about that. I know what it's like to lay on the bed in the middle of the night, staring at the dark ceiling above, unable to sleep. The gut-wrenching feeling, the sense of panic and worry, and the wrinkles that appeared on my face from those years. I mean, those things give me an empathy and an ability to understand that I can actually do some good in the world as a result. And so these lines on my faces, some of them are just smile lines, some of them are from too much sun, but some of them are the stuff that I gained through experience and lended a sense of empathy that allowed me to help other people in some cases now. And you, my friend, if you can get through this, if you can push on and you can become a man of your own and independent and then go from there, get educated, have a family, you can do the same, and you can be a great blessing unto the world and perhaps unto your family as well, your siblings especially. So it's been a long-winded way to basically say, wow, look at this. I've been talking for 17 minutes. My gosh. Well, I guess indicates how important this subject is to me and how important I see the chance for you to get out of this. I'll sign off from there, and basically hopefully my analogy worked out. You're a ship, you're a castaway on an island. It's time to gather the resources. Don't focus on the past and what happened, and don't despair if you're too lonely, and just push on through. Get out on your own, get educated, formal education, self-education, lifelong endeavor, and then move on from there. And let me know how things are going. Send me an email. softypapa@gmail.com. Well, you know it. You already sent it to me. But for anybody else that wants to do the same, I'm always happy to hear from friends. Take care, everybody. Have a great day, my friend. Good luck to you. Let me know how things go. I'm really looking forward to hearing from you. And I'm looking for some good news. It's gonna go down sometimes. It's not all gonna be uphill. It's definitely not. Don't think of that. Sometimes you're gonna fall down. You're not just gonna be tempted to fall down. You're gonna fall down. But the thing is, like Daruma, the founder of Zen Buddhism, his famous motto is that life knocks you down 7 times, but you get up 8. And so the success in life comes from not from avoiding tragedy, but from persevering through it, regardless, and moving on. Take care, friend. Have a great day. Bye bye. Good luck to you.